Hi, I'm Ruth Ann. I'm one of the co-founders of Infant Feeding Alliance. This week has been World Breastfeeding Week, and the theme has been Step Up for Breastfeeding. And we've pretty much been told that there's nothing breastfeeding can't do. It's going to tackle climate change and create peace and justice and social inequalities and give us clean water. I can't quite figure out how, but there we go. We see a lot about stepping up for breastfeeding, but unfortunately, Infant Feeding Alliance members have found that our breastfeeding policies are absolutely failing us as parents. They're failing our babies, they're failing our families. So whilst the messages of public health authorities are a step up for breastfeeding, we have a few messages of our own.
I ended up in hospital with the beginnings of septicemia brought about by mastitis that I didn't even know I had. Yet I was told on admission by a midwife that no worries, as soon as I was better, I would be able to start breastfeeding. I stepped up. I decided, upon the advice of a much more sensible midwife, that it was time to move on, to move to bottles. I bottle fed him on a ward, with an IV going in, with antibiotics and fluids. And after 5 days, we were discharged with not so much as a goodbye. I was betraying the cause. But I stepped up. I started feeding formula to my boy, and he thrived. He's now 5, going into primary 1, and the happiest soul ever. I stepped up. I did the best thing I could do for my boy, for my health, and for my family. And you, who believe that breastfeeding is the best and we are all milking machines. You might think that you're right, but trust parents and trust families and step down.
I stepped up as best I could at my most vulnerable in hospital to raise concerns about my daughter's feeding. I knew she wasn't feeding well. I knew I couldn't sustain breastfeeding. It was very difficult to raise concerns because I was also very sleep deprived, overwhelmed and anxious, and staff were unconcerned. The next day a midwife visited us at home and found our daughter had lost excessive weight and was jaundiced, so we stepped up. We took her back to hospital. My husband stepped up, took on the feeds so that I could sleep, and from then on we shared bottle feeds and made sure our daughter got enough to eat and gained weight and thrived. So I know we stepped up. You step down.
You really thought you were doing the right thing, didn't you? When you saw me breastfeeding and struggling, you told me I was doing an amazing job. You were so encouraging. What a wonderful job you're doing. You're an amazing mummy, giving your daughter mummy milk. Except I wasn't, was I? Not really. My baby was miserable. She cried all the time. She wasn't satisfied, and me, I was in pain daily. I was severely sleep deprived, slow sleep deprived. I fell down the stairs. Lucky I wasn't holding her at the time. I stepped up. I stepped up when I realized I was being coerced and manipulated, when the healthcare professionals I trusted were more interested in breastfeeding than they were in me or my baby's well-being. I stepped up. I stepped up. I went to the supermarket. I bought her formula and I fed her. I fed her formula from a bottle and she thrived. And my partner, he stepped up. He stepped up and fed her at night so I could sleep and I could thrive. We stepped up. And you know what you said? You said you were really sorry that I didn't reach my breastfeeding goals. I think it's time for you to step down.
I tried to breastfeed Matilde, but in the first week I had practically no colostrum. I was advised by breastfeeding experts to triple feed. This meant trying to nurse the baby, then bottle feed with formula, and then pump. I tried this routine with the help of my partner, and my milk started coming. But Matilde still refused to nurse most of the time. When my partner started a new job, I struggled to find time to pump. My breast got engorged and I got mastitis. The GP that prescribed antibiotics told me that I deserved to enjoy the first months with my baby, not just to survive them. This was the first time that a health professional really stepped up for me. The others were supporting me only until I persisted in trying to breastfeed. Step up if you really want to support parents and babies to enjoy their journey together. Otherwise, step down.